Our next guest is a well-known actor and musician whose most recent project can be seen on Fox's streaming service, Tubi, during their first inaugural Shark Month in the Tubi summer original movie, Swim. Joey Lawrence, welcome to Stephen A's World. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here, man. Thanks so much.
Man, please, the honor is all mine. Tell us about this new movie, sir.
Yeah, look, man, Tubi, which is like you said, it's a streaming service, but it's free, which makes it unique as to all the other streaming services out there. And they're Fox-owned. They got like 70,000 titles, and they're getting into the original content game. So they came at me with this script to capitalize on this big Shark Month Bite Fest, thing that they're doing. They have all the Jaws movies because of the Fox ownership part of it, and 60 other shark-type movies. And they said, look, we're making an original. It's going to be a suspenseful movie about a summer house that gets flooded by a summer storm. Ocean comes in, brings with it a 25-foot great white, and this family is trapped in there, and it's like Die Hard with a shark in a house. And I said, okay, let's give it a whirl. We're going through so much drama with daily headlines bombarding us minute by minute. I thought, you know what? 2 hours of escapism with some thrills and shrills. I said, why the heck not? And Tubi has been great, and, sort of at the ground floor of this original content game that Tubi is now getting into. So
I was getting ready to ask you what appealed to you about it most. I know you just threw out a litany of things, but I'm thinking about you, because I remember you from the days of Blossom and stuff like that. What was it about this movie that appealed to you? Is it the fact that you're into physical fitness and some of it is required in a movie like this? Did that stand out as the most appealing thing for you?
For sure. I'd never done anything like this, like an event movie with a bunch of CGI and a bunch of physicality. 40 years in, man. I started when I was 5 years old, so I've been doing this is my 40th year. So I feel like hopefully the best is yet to come. This is something I've never done before, and that's what I'm looking to do at this point in my life. Being blessed to have worked consistently for 40 years, there's so many things that I'd love to accomplish. This is something that I always wanted to try, which was an event movie. Bunch of CGI, bunch of shark stuff running around, screaming. We were submerged in water, freezing temperatures with fans and hose machines and, rain towers. It was crazy. It was literally crazy. A lot of fun. I feel like it's the first time for me. So, yeah,
that would not have appealed. Joey, I got to admit to you, that would not have appealed to me, especially. It all would have depended on how cold the water was. If the water wasn't that cold, that would be different. But if the water is really, really cold, I imagine that kind of messes up. That will mess with your acting a little bit. Any of us. Is that correct?
It was freezing. You're absolutely right. The water was like well water and literally hydrant water they were pumping in. We shot in Malibu at the end of spring, and anybody lives in Malibu, the misnomer is, oh, it's a beach, it's warm. But Malibu's freezing at night. Literally freezing. We were outside like 38-degree weather with actual freezing water pounding us for hours and hours and hours at night. There were some days I was like, I don't know what the hell I just signed up to do, but we got through it, and hopefully it'll just be a lot of fun for everybody to tune in and watch, because that's what it's intended to do.
Now, I know you hail from Philadelphia, and I happen to know that about you. I happen to have heard you're an Eagles fan, all right? Now, you do understand I have them coming in last place in the NFC East this year. Where do you have them? Where do you have them?
I don't disagree with you, man. I don't know what's going on in Philly. Look, for some reason, Philly has a very tough time stringing together more than one random championship in between decades of disaster. I don't know what it is, right? We finally got a Phillies championship after all those years. Now it's been ruined since 08 or whatever it was, And then we finally got a Super Bowl, and now it looks like we've fallen off the cliff again. I don't know what's happening. We crowned the city Carson Wentz town, and that poor guy couldn't stay, healthy, and then I think it got to his head, and he just, I don't know what's going to happen now, but I don't disagree with you. As much as I love the Eagles, I don't disagree with you. I think it's going to be a very challenging season. I don't see us doing well at all. Maybe we'll be surprised, but I tend to agree with you. Don't take it personally. You're an expert in the game, so it'd be foolish to bet against you.
At this particular moment in time, I will say that you have something to cheer about in Philadelphia, because the Phillies are on the top in the NL East. They just swept the New York Mets, which is a beautiful thing. But let me get back to the football side. You're also a Tom Brady fan. A Tom Brady fan.
I am.
Now you're
a Tom Brady fan.
Now you're a big Tom Brady fan. I can understand why the man's a 7-time champion. He would be 8. If he had beaten y'all. It didn't happen. When he went up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who were you rooting for?
Well, it was tough for me. I was definitely pulling for the Eagles, although being a Tom Brady fan, witnessing greatness like that, I think at this age, being able to appreciate what that guy's been able to do over the period of time in which he's been able to do it at the age that he is really shocking to me. As a kid, obviously the same, I'm sure, as you, watching Michael Jordan, like I knew it was something like special, but looking
Yeah.
back and being able, especially watching that Last Dance series, like being able to watch and go, oh my gosh, like we witnessed something that we may never see that again. I mean, Kobe got close. I don't think, in my personal opinion, that LeBron was able to do what Michael did. I love LeBron. He's a great player. He's an iconic player. He has all the points and the scoring records and everything. But there was something about Jordan, and he had a great supporting cast of players. But he didn't have a lot of other. I mean, he had Pippen, arguably the greatest number 2 ever. But he didn't have to put together like super teams, in order to win. And I know the league's different now than it was 25, 30 years ago. But to me, what Jordan did and his lasting presence is just, I don't know if it'll ever be matched. Like I said, Kobe got close, but wasn't even Jordan, in my opinion. So witnessing what Tom Brady is doing, whether you love him or hate him personally, just what he's been able to do, and then being basically ousted from New England and Bill going, you know what, I can win without this guy. And Tom going down to Tampa Bay and bringing a Super Bowl home, like, it's just, how could you not just at least appreciate what that guy's been able to do,
Listen, I want to get back to you before we get on out of here, because you've been in the business quite a long time and you've accomplished some great things. I want to know about how you're feeling about where you are now and what's in your plans for the future. What can we expect from you moving forward?
Man, I'm at a good place coming out of a crazy year personally. I know the whole world has been a crazy, last year and a half. God bless. Hopefully we can get past all this soon and just get back to the things we used to take for granted, like hugging people and shaking hands and being in the same room like you and I. We'd be doing this in person, But I feel like, I've been blessed to work for 40 years. Looking forward, God willing, to the next 40. I'm writing, actually. With the love of my life, we're writing partners. We wrote a script, sold it to Tubi. So making that movie later this year, romantic comedy, dialogue-driven, called Frankie Meets Jack, very much in the tone of like Sleepless in Seattle. It's got dogs. It's funny, smart. And so I'll be continuing my relationship with Tubi. We're going to both star in that movie, actually, which is great. Never wrote a script before. I produced things, but never on the writing side. So that's something cool. And really looking to explore movies, man. It was a dream of mine as a kid to grow up and be in Die Hard, to have an opportunity to play a movie like Transporter and use some physicality, because I'm truly a physical guy, although I've never really been able to use that. So I'm really looking, hopefully, in my 40s, be able to do stuff like that. And working on a cool TV project, too, with the brothers again for the first time in 20 years.
Now, I know a little something about catchphrases and impressions, and thinking about catchphrases and stuff like that, you hear a lot of stuff from fans. I want to know, how often do people give you that whole, they come to you and they say, give us that whoa from your classic character on Blossom. How often do people come to you asking you about that stuff? Because the Lord knows they ask me a whole bunch of stuff when I'm walking the streets. What do they do with you?
Oh yeah, I know, man. Yeah, no, it's they say it all the time. That whole thing and that character was such a blessing to play. Being the most famous 17-year-old in the world there for 5 years, whatever it was. It was a crazy time. I didn't have the social media aspect of it. I can only imagine. I was insulated, as to how big it was. So that stuff was always delayed coming. But about the third season of that show, when I would go out for these autograph signings and 20,000 people would show up, and we would tour all over the world with the music and stuff, because we sold millions of records back then too. Having everybody say the whoa thing and not realizing how much that became a part of the fabric of that generation. And to this day, everywhere I go, people still say that. It brings back so many fond memories for them, I guess, and for me too. It's all part of where we go. Where we came from is how we got here, and helps us pave the way to where we're going. So I look back on those years fondly, and that catchphrase was certainly something very unexpected. I said it as a joke one night in one of the live shows, and it took off overnight. Didn't realize it until like 5-6 weeks later, and then they wrote it in every single episode for the rest of the run of the show. That's just the way it works.
Just like that. You can catch the original summer movie Swim this Friday as part of Tubi's Shark Month Bite Fest. Joey Lawrence, Stephen A's World. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much.
Back at you, man. Thanks so much. Been a big fan for a long time.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.